All right, next let's queer up gay culture. Are you offended by the word queer? What does it really mean? Once considered a derogatory term, the term queer has undergone a transformation in perception. While some still find it controversial, most LGBTQ+ individuals have proudly reclaimed the word and use it positively. The term dates back to the 16th century, possibly originating from the German word quer, meaning oblique or perverse. Initially signifying oddity or peculiarity, it took on a negative connotation in the mid-20th century when used as a slur against those with same-sex desires, particularly gay men. Amidst an LGBTQ activism of the 1970s and 1980s, some campaigners reappropriated the word queer as an umbrella term for gender and sexual minorities. Today, millennials widely use it inclusively to refer to individuals who are not straight and or not cisgender. Brian Lewis, author of British Queer History, identifies three primary uses for the term: reclamation from homophobes, as an umbrella term for the LGBTQ+ microdivisions, and as a marker of sexual fluidity opposing heterosexual and homosexual binaries. In 2020, the first daily LGBTQ+ news show initially used Q to avoid potential offense, eventually becoming Queer News Tonight. Surveys indicate that Gen Z overwhelmingly embraces the term, with over 90% holding a positive view. However, acceptance steadily decreases with each subsequent generation, reaching a low of 23% among baby boomers. So I am someone who had to come around to the term queer. I grew up, I knew I was gay frankly, in elementary school, growing up in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. And to me, the term queer always seemed a slur or derogatory towards me. As it has emerged in popular culture, I have started to come around to it, and I understand reclaiming the power of the word. Now I think that is so great to, sometimes it's so hard to do the whole LGBTQ+. You don't want to leave anyone out. You want to be inclusive. I love that there's an umbrella term that can express the beautiful diversity of our community.
Certainly more inclusive. And I can actually trace my change in attitude about the word back to the early 90s. Are any of you kids alive then? Early 90s. And the way that the activist group Queer Nation used it, and it was the act of taking away the sting, turning it into an acceptable form of self-identification. So that's sort of, again, it was, I heard it used negatively as well, but that was a moment, early 90s.
Having been, actually, since I grew up elsewhere, and I was under the British education system at the time, queer was not a derogatory term at all. In fact, it was just a word, basically. How odd, how peculiar, how
like fag?
No, more like fag.
No, because that was a cigarette in the British educational system.
Right? Well, but in British slang, fag is a cigarette.
Right.
Well, faggot is actually a meatball in Wales. But I'm not kidding.
No, I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
And so the term queer was not negatively coded to me until much later when I moved to America in the mid-90s. And by then, queer already has a more or less middle, like you said, some are reasserting, the word queer, they're reclaiming it.
Yeah, right.
And then there's, the still used as a slur. So, to this day, people still use it as a slur.
Yeah. I love etymology, so it's part of my degree. So, I have researched.
Isn't that the study of bugs?
Word. Close. But I do have friends who won't watch the show when I'm on it because
You're on it?
Because I'm on it and I'm sitting here with you. No, because of the word queer, and they're older and they're just not willing to come around to it because they were so hurt by it when they were younger.
What do they think of queer eye or queer as folk?
No.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. But again, it's as the story said, Gen Z is more embracing and kind of some of us are coming around to it. And I, of course, much like you, I like that we have that umbrella term and can use it. But as part of the history of the word, I don't know if you know this or not, but for a brief period of time, and it's antiquated now, we don't use it, but for a brief period of time, it did mean drunk.
Oh.
So
Still applies.
So we can say that John and I have been queer on the drive.
Yes, we can.
I'm a queer sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that they said that the word used to mean oblique, and a certain part of our gym community, it still does. Also, a little bit of lore that I've been told. Obviously, I joined the show, I think, in year 3. But I'm told that we did start out being Q News, but because we didn't want to be offensive. Turns out we had to stop saying Q because everybody thought Q News was QAnon. This is I've been told by veterans. I don't know this for a fact. So apparently, queer was less offensive than other things that Q could have meant, and so we embrace it. And you know,
back in the day, the OK sign was OK sign. You know, Q was just a letter.
Right.
But
yeah, and it brought me Sesame Street sometime. It was Sesame Street was presented by the letter Q.